The following is my conversation with Rob Mallery. He is currently the head of talent and operations at Magic, a company working to build aligned artificial general intelligence. He recently worked at OpenAI and was their sole recruiter for software engineers. But most importantly, he is a high energy, genuine, and passion driven person. In this conversation, we talk about Rob's personal life and career journey, OpenAI's hiring process and what it takes to work at the forefront of tech. We also talk about what the not so far away future of AGI might look like. We talk about the rapid, colossal changes that lay near ahead and how one might navigate such uncharted territories. I have to say, the magnitude and nature of these changes are hard to fathom, but I hope this conversation helps to illuminate what the near future may hold for us. These are very unprecedented times we're going to be living in. I hope you, like Rob, can choose the course of optimism, for it is the optimist that will adapt and utilize the opportunities as they arise. But further, I hope this conversation and the inevitable drastic changes that will come in the next few years create a sense of urgency inside you to do the things you've always wanted to do and to be the person you've always wanted to be. The truth is, the one thing we can expect with certainty is that unexpected things will happen. Take the pandemic, for instance. The point is to not squander the opportunities and gifts of this present moment, as none of us really know what will happen in the next one. So, Rob, why don't you begin by giving us a little bit of a summary of your career and life journey to date, starting at your time growing up in a log cabin in Montana to working at cutting edge AI companies like OpenAI and Magic.
Yeah. First off, Owen, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been an interesting path for sure. I grew up in Montana in like I said, a log cabin that my dad actually built from trees that he cut down himself. So he was a logger, and never, would have thought, kind of the journey would take you, where it's taken me. But yeah, it's been fun. So yeah, the path is just kind of continue, doing things that I don't know that you enjoy. I went to school, moved around a bit when I was younger. Moved to Las Vegas when I was in 6th grade, and grew up there. Went to school there, and got into recruiting kind of as a never really even heard of it, but started off my school in like electrical engineering in college. Went to biology, was pre-med, and so yeah. As far as recruiting goes, tech recruiting, I'd never really known that was a thing. But it's one of those things that if you can do it and you are, your communication skills are strong and you're, kind of curious about people and what makes them tick, it's something that basically anybody can get into. I've met recruiters that are really good who come from any number of different backgrounds. So there's no path. The one path that'll get you there is basically it's not by design. It's almost never by design. So you kind of happen into it. And yeah, just from there, I've been doing that for 20 plus years, just building high performant teams with companies, usually on the tech side. Never really I built a couple of startups that never went anywhere, but they were fun. And the first time that I was looking for a new role, really since college, was when I joined OpenAI. OpenAI was the top place that I could think like, okay, cool, this is amazing team, perfect mission. If we can do something there, let's do it. And so yeah, I hadn't put a resume together in 20 years, but put it together, sent it in, got a call, got the job, and then had to move to San Francisco and tackle something that was, like I said, a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of the journey. I'm now at Magic after OpenAI got a little bit bigger than I think. I'm a startup guy, and so yeah, I guess tackling a new startup is a blast, and that's what I always like doing. And OpenAI was that a couple of years ago, and now it's kind of like the big dog, and so I want to see if I can help build another big dog.
What did you notice any shifts in like the culture or things at OpenAI when it went from the smaller company to the big? Like I'm assuming there's a lot more like bureaucracy and things like that, or was it able to maintain kind of that startup environment?
Yeah, not so much bureaucracy. I wouldn't, and this would all be it. OpenAI might have the best team in the world. Like the team is outstandingly good. Um, so it's not so much about bureaucracy, but it's just the more people you have, the harder it is to run as fast as you can go. There's a difference between a 10-person team with amazing people and a 50-person team with amazing people. Ramp that up to 200 people, it's different again, and then double it again, it's kind of different again. So it's just it's the reason you don't see as much innovation from larger organizations, like certainly beyond 5 and 10,000 people. It's really hard to kind of pocketize innovation. But yeah, no, nothing really creeping in. It's just a matter of I enjoy talent problems, and there's less talent problems when basically the entire world wants to work there. And so that's it's not so much bureaucracy. It's just just there, you're not like me. I like kind of solving org growth problems, and there's less of those there.
As you said, I think the whole world does want to work there, and I think a lot of our listeners probably want to work there. So I saw that you were the head of recruiting for 2021 and managed all the software engineering applications. Do
Mhm.
you have any like applicable advice, kind of like a roadmap of like hard skills, experiences that our listeners would want to develop, and maybe delve into the application process a little bit and how our applicants can stand out?
There's nothing. There's no prescription really. What OpenAI would be looking for, probably more than almost any company out there, is just amazingly good folks. And so being really, really good is, I know that that's not a prescription, but it'd be the same thing that you'd talk to an athlete about. Like if you want to be the best, if you want to play professional sports, you got to work hard, you got to have talent, and so like the combination of working really hard and some level of talent, people can get by with a little harder work and a little less talent, but the talent has to be there. And so that kind of you know gets built on over a school career and then a career, a professional career. So yeah, working hard, generally being stronger than other people that you're surrounded with, whether that be in high school, whether it be in college, whether that be in your career. That's a good recipe. Just I don't want to say like be competitive, but you've got to be just really good, and kind of focus on the thing that comes naturally and kind of easy to you. I think that's always something that I advise folks earlier in their career. You might have a game plan, for earlier, like the earlier you are, the less, you might have a game plan. You might want to be an astronaut, you want to be a doctor, you might want to be an AI researcher. But it turns out, like, go with the thing that kind of comes easy, and then just keep working at that, because that's the thing that you can become potentially world class at, and it's really hard to become world class at something that like you struggle with, and so I don't know, find that thing, and go with it. Like for example, I started, but it definitely wouldn't have worked at OpenAI as a software engineer or a researcher. It just didn't come as naturally as other people that I saw that it did, and then seeing them do that kind of opened your eyes. So just be aware of what you're really good at, and then focus on that. If it's engineering, great. If it's something else, great. I mean, there's amazingly brilliant people working at OpenAI and other companies, but just you don't have to be technical to be there. And so I don't know. That's I know that's not super specific, but focus on the thing that you're good at, and then just work hard at it. That's usually a pretty good recipe to go as far as you can go.
When it comes to the interview process, so is there what does the stages look like? Is there an initial dump of a bunch of resumes, and then like, and when you talk about strong applicants, is it like 98% average, 99% average in school, or is it more focusing on 4 or 5 years of concrete experience doing like hardcore developing? Or like what are these filters that are the resumes are going through?
Yeah, no filter. OpenAI recruiting team looks at every single resume that comes in. So there's no automated anything. That might sound odd, considering it's the best AI company in the world. But no, it's a very human game, and it's frankly not a science. It's really, you're trying to sum up, what somebody's doing, and there's different roles, and so depending on the role, you're looking at somebody's, background and expertise and ability to do it. But a lot of times you're just looking for, like especially for me on the software side, you're looking for, just a track record of really good, and that track record could be, educationally, whether that's bachelor's, master's, PhD. It could be a track record of working in industry, and generally the better companies you're at, the more impact you're making there, is going to be good signal. But somebody could work at 3 straight unsuccessful startups that has a really interesting background. You don't have to work at a FANG type company to be great. And sometimes the longer you're doing that, the less startup-y and fast and kind of innovative you can be. So good mix of career, strong background education wise, but just any kind of background that says, oh, okay, you made an outsized impact there, wherever that was. That's always what I'm looking for, and then see if that translates into, can do this thing that we're doing, at where we're doing it. And yeah, if you can bring that track record, to an amazing team, you're gonna be fine.
In that interview process, is it a lot of things like leak code and like the technical algorithm type problems, or what does that look like?
Yeah, less lead codey. OpenAI in particular has a very kind of real world, it's certainly algorithmic and problem solving, and can you code, and so, but not really as much to study for it, or here's how to pass every leak code engineering interview. It's more along the lines of live coding, with a member of the team, and going through, building something with them. So I always said it was a very collaborative process, that the person that you'd be interviewing, and there'd be, generally 4-ish tech interviews, maybe a system design or two, a couple coding interviews that focus on problem solving and efficient algorithms, things like that. But you'd be interviewing with somebody that's there to help you through it. It's definitely not some companies will have a almost combative interview process where they're like, the person is trying to, I don't know, judge you, or like screw you up in a way. But OpenAI has a very collaborative, very, like, you're meeting with somebody and they're kind of your guide, is what I would always say. So yeah, then it's just about kind of bringing the goods. Can you make something tricky, hard, look fairly straightforward and easy? That's a good signal that we're looking for, is kind of making a tough interview process look easy, and then go from there.
And then when you're talking about like the credentials of having good past experiences, does that mean like working on projects and seeing them through to completion, or like is the finished product super important for that? Like having a polished off app that works perfectly or something like that, or is it more the breadth of experience and like different learning experiences?
Um, it's definitely not the polished app, it's the process that it takes to get there. And it's hard to create that with like scholastic achievements. It's hard to separate. So the thing that I would talk about with like students and folks that are younger in their career is less about like, you've got to do things that are more than just going through your schoolwork or going through the things that were assigned to you. So working on things that interest you and that are doing interesting open source contributions, like learning something that your teacher or your professor never prompted you to do. Those are always helpful and show kind of the inquisitiveness and the motivation to do more than what everybody else is doing. And so yeah, I would never say, you can't go and get here, write an app, and that's gonna be a good thing. Get a certification, that's gonna be a good thing. None of those really. You could stack your resume full of stuff like that and still not really have kind of the thing that a world-class org like OpenAI would be looking for. They're looking for thinking differently, doing differently. Scale and scope of something is way bigger and grander than at most places. So yeah, so the trickier thing you can tackle is going to be good, rather than like polish up something that's kind of more straightforward and frankly like a solved problem. If I see a lot of those on resumes, like they're basically just kind of projects that are perfectly good to do, but they're solved problems. Like only so many poker bots we can look at. Like unless you built the best poker bot in the world or the best something else in the world, that then people use. Like I remember a couple of people that we hired at OpenAI, were almost exclusively like the signal that we saw on them was like just a really interesting open source project that they were kind of a core contributor or primary contributor toward. And then that's the thing that, oh, okay, cool, this person stands out because of that. But yeah, it's not really anything prescriptive that that I would look at in terms of just like completed app or not complete. It's more like, how tough of a problem have you tackled, and how easy did you do that? And it might take a lot of practice to get to where it was easy. That's part of the journey. But what's your peak is kind of what I'm always looking for, is like, what's your peak either now or where could you get to? Peak in the future is also something that we're looking for signal for sure.
I think some of our listeners might find it interesting if you maybe describe like an archetype of, like, let's say Joe, he's OpenAI employee. Like what does his experience look like? OpenAI software engineer. Like what are the kinds of caliber of people? Like what are the kinds of projects they've worked on?
Yeah. There's no super archetype. Generally people that work at OpenAI on, let's say, the software side have certainly, they can work wherever they want. And so I think that's one thing that, like, they've certainly worked at, whether they chose to go down a startup path, great, they chose that. Whether they chose to, out of school, go to Google or Meta or, some other kind of, upper level company such as that. They probably didn't work at kind of a larger company that was, maybe not best known for their software engineering or their tech work. So more, maybe less production software and more, IT work. They probably didn't work there unless it was just, something to where maybe they didn't go to the best school. And so, maybe, the FANG companies weren't at their career fairs, and so had to take something that was maybe nearby, or maybe they did, they've always lived in a place that wasn't, known for its tech, and went to school at somewhere nearby their home where they grew up, and then went to work in their first job, same, but they were the best there. You know what I mean? So it's something that it's possible to be great anywhere, yeah, but there's no like set standard, this is what somebody's career was. One of the best engineers I hired all of last year, and that's in a sea of people that had 10 years at Google or Meta or Stripe or really good backgrounds, companies. One of the best hires was 2 years experience, and graduated from Waterloo. So obviously a good school, but was only 2 years into his career, and and then was working in a company I'd never heard of up in Toronto. And he breezed through the interviews like they were standing still. And then 6 months after he started, he was just on a path that you could tell like he was very, very good, and the potential there was very, very strong. And so, but had less experience than the other 35 or so software engineers I hired all of last year. So like I know that's kind of one-offy and anecdotal, but it's a testament, talent and the hard work then on top of that talent shows. It always shows. It shows up maybe while you're in school, 2 years after, 10 years after. And so yeah, it's not really there's not a design. It's just something that usually manifests itself at some point in your career.
Wow. Why don't we talk about Magic for a little while? Why don't you tell us about what you're
Yep.
working on at Magic and kind of the vision with the company?
Yeah, so Magic. I mean, I know most people would think I'm nuts for leaving OpenAI, but the Magic is much smaller. We're only 10 people. So OpenAI has maybe 450 people. Magic has 10 people, and we're doing the same thing: safe AGI. So OpenAI, their number one mission is get to AGI, make sure that benefits everyone. Magic, same. But we're like $10 billion behind and 6 years behind in terms of timing and money and funding. And so we've got our work cut out for us, but same mission. We're gonna get there by focusing a little bit more. We're basically looking to automate software engineering. And so kind of, I know it's not exactly near term, but what we want to do over the next few years is build an AI software engineer. And so if you can build an AI software engineer that's every bit as good as a human, that creative, reasons, and thinks through problems the way a human would, that's a stone's throw or two from AGI. Now getting there safely is still the key, but yeah, I enjoy talent problems. I enjoy kind of building something that doesn't exist yet. The OpenAI, when you're just reviewing resumes as kind of the person in charge of technical recruiting, it's less. Everybody knows that this is the place to be. That wasn't even the case just not too long ago when I joined. And so I like to build up that help build up that brand. I mean, I didn't really so much do it at OpenAI as we released ChatGPT and then everybody knows it. But it's so that's part of kind of getting there, is doing things that other companies can't do, and building useful things that put everyone on notice. And that's what we're looking to do at Magic. The thing that we have that nobody else in the world has is a model that can see much larger context window than any other model. And so it's a kind of a fundamental breakthrough in a qualitative way to making AI better and more capable. You can throw an entire company's code base into a context window for our model, and that's a couple orders of magnitude better than anyone else, including OpenAI. And so it's a problem that everyone's working on. Magic has solved it. Now it's a matter of kind of scaling the model and getting it, keeping it stable, getting it bigger. And so I'm curious to see what'll take place if we can do that. If we can scale something that no one else has, and turn that into a really capable coding assistant. That's going to be fun, and that'll start that recruiting, that kind of talent game that I enjoy doing, is building something that people want to, building the place that people want to go to. That'll be a lot of fun.
What would it practically look like as a coding assistant or completely automating software engineering? Like, one could argue that the initial coding, writing binary, now like abstracted languages like Python is already like a layer of abstraction? Will it be similar to that? Will it be like a further layer of abstraction? So maybe programming in natural language, or what would that look like?
Yeah, that's nearer term. Like we can almost ChatGPT basically does that in some settings. So yeah, put that thought on afterburners. Like I don't think it's weird to say, it's still kind of wild to say, but I think it might be strange if people are looking at code, several years from now. That's how quickly this is going to be, let alone writing it. If people are like literally sitting there typing code 3 years from now, then any predictions I have are dead wrong. I think it'll be strange to be like typing code multiple years from now. And so yeah, what does that then look like when that's the case? It'll be a little bit more like almost design is the only thing that you're doing when you're building something, or you set your AI to creative mode, and then every morning you wake up to something new that maybe you edit. But it's like I don't know exactly what engineering looks like when kind of the hard part historically is kind of done. And yes, we've made great progress in terms of abstracting away like machine code into things that we can do, but it's what that abstraction looks like above above the layers that we're at now. It's going to get it really interesting. But it'll unlock so much productivity from people, that it'll be a very strange world when when the drudgery of kind of typing code so a computer can know what I'm trying to have it do, when that goes away. I just think the creativity of humans is going to usher in just a really, really interesting time.
Do you think like the progression from machine coding to like languages like Python and Java has probably over 100 times the amount of people working in the field since then? Do you think a similar thing will happen, or do you think the demand for software engineers or the future software engineers will go
Yeah,
down?
that's a great question. um I don't have the answer, and I don't think anybody really does. um it'll just look so different that it'll just be very disruptive, and kind of the way that things will happen, but it's not going to be um and I don't know about the raw number. So I mean, the easy answer is there will be way less people like kind of building apps, you know what I mean? So like the if your job as a developer right now is again kind of implementing solved problems, um you definitely have to up level that. And so I think just there will be a lot of automation that will um allow for right now. There are things that basically can be automated even right now that people are still doing, in a lot of fields. And so I think that those type of things are going to just accelerate, again, whether that's like the lower tier web and app development. That'll be just done by somebody with an AI tool, and you don't even need to be technical to do that. So there's just different layers that will continue to get automated, and everyone is going to have to continue to navigate in a very and quickly. This is going to happen across basically across an entire industry, economy, world, in a way that's never happened before. It'd be certainly on par with any industrial revolution. The scope of things, how different things were pre and then post. But it'll happen on a digital like timeline, and so that's going to be really it's going to change quickly, and people are going to have to really be just yeah not just ready for it, but just like constantly evolving. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, how that shakes out. Humans always proven themselves to be very adaptable that way, and they're going to have to prove it again.
What do you think are some of the bigger like societal implications, and what do you think the timeline is for some of those?
Yeah, AI is not just another. It's not just a bigger internet. You know what I mean? It's not just now we have mobile. It's essentially automating intelligence, and so that'll have profound impacts, that, if done right, will bring just an unimaginably amazing world. So, I believe in a world of abundance that will come from this. That, I mean, the far-reaching versions, and again, like within our lifetime, we'll have, we'll have AI building machines. And I know that sounds, potentially scary, but like AI building machines, but that could take atoms out of the air and build a house out of it. Like that's the wild stuff you can start thinking of when there is no more limitation. And I don't know, we'll see where we get along that, but like that, if you can have like sci-fi level tools and intelligence, at your disposal, that's a really interesting world. Like we are definitely, I think within our lifetime, and it's, your lifetime will be longer than mine, but we're going to be in a situation probably within the next 2 decades to where some things are going to get really, really weird. And just even in the next 5 years, we're going to have things that look just oddly futuristic, to even where we're at right now. So yeah, the timeline is fast, and yeah, we'll see where this we'll see where this takes us, but it's definitely going to be an interesting ride.
Can you offer any insights into like the specific kinds of things we'll see in the next 5 years, will have like the most disruption, you think?
I mean, I think what Magic is doing is going to be that, like, and certainly OpenAI obviously is doing same, but automating knowledge work is going to be huge. Like that's just an incredible thing to think about, and that right there is going to be the thing that is the most disruptive. Is as soon as we are automating, software development, or large scale, data analysis, decision making, for executives, just really, really big crunchy things that have always taken humans, and really smart humans to do. That's going to be interesting. Like, what can we build on top of that? I think is going to be the interesting. What kind of companies are we building on top of that? What do companies look like? When you'll need way less people, to do something really, really big. And so I think that'll be the thing that's going to be the most interesting for me, is like, yeah, what does that world look like, and how do you build an organization, when so many things are automatic and automated. It'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. Could you take a moment to kind of paint a picture for us of, in your mind, the best case, and you can be a sci-fi writer here, be as extraordinary as you want, the best case scenario when it comes to AI, but also the worst case. Like, what are the two kind of extreme cases that you see in the next, let's say, 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the ones I see, but they're the ones that are possible. It's either, it's again a utopian world of abundance in the best case scenario, and in the worst case, humans are no longer here. Like, so that's why, like, the safety aspect of getting this right is an existential threat. And so everyone working on, advanced AI and AGI and beyond, super intelligence beyond, they are, and this is OpenAI, this is Anthropic, this is certainly Magic. Those would be the big three right now that are, taking a real big swing at this. And I just know that the people involved, at all of those organizations just are deeply aware of the dangers, and getting things right and getting this right is likely to be the best thing that ever happened to humanity. But there's that chance that it is the worst, and so making sure that everybody is mindful of that is like I said, what everyone is paying very close attention to.
When we can't even find alignment between humans, and we can't even find alignment like within ourselves sometimes, like sometimes I'll eat foods I know I shouldn't be eating. How do you even approach a problem like alignment with AI?
Yeah, it's a societal problem, more than just a purely technical problem. There's no doubt about it. I Again, in a very optimistic, and the way that I kind of view this would be, if done right, AI can be, and will be better than us, in all of those areas that we are not, we are, like you said, eating food that we shouldn't, or arguing with our, our neighbors and family. Like, AI will have to be better than us. And the thing I'm actually most concerned about is not that AI won't be, just this really transformative, really, powerful movement for good, but that humans will not believe it or appreciate it, or they'll like, I just kind of been looking at recent couple of years, how advancements in vaccines, scientific advance, we're looked at as frauds, or we're looked at as government's way to like subdue the masses, or what I mean. So it like, and that's kind of a lower scale version of the, like, I hope that we appreciate and believe and can utilize, as a society, something that will end up benefiting everyone. That's the thing that's, that alignment of AI. I'm not really, that's certainly a technical problem, but I'm the reception of humanity is actually something I think is more the wild card, because the people that are working on AI, and doing the work, they're amazingly good people, and they're very much focused on making sure this goes well. It's the rest of the world that I'm actually kind of concerned about in the uptake of that invention. Let's call it an invention, and then what is the reception of that? That'll be interesting. That'll be the thing that I'd kind of keep my eye on more than anything.
When you're designing an aligned system, I'm assuming there's some metric of best interest that you're trying to optimize for, like whether it's human suffering, whether it's human fulfillment. Like, how do you quantify good when it comes to AI?
It's beyond my pay grade. It's they call it the alignment problem for a good reason. I don't have the answer to that. But I'm also not an alignment researcher, and so I hope that that we can do a good job on this. But I'm kind of, even myself working in the field, I'm kind of having read books and make myself as knowledgeable as I can. There's still things like, well, I hope the researchers are doing a good job on this. It's kind of above my answering ability.
Well, I think a question like that is by nature above almost anyone's. I think it's
Exactly. Yeah.
they did in philosophy for thousands of years. So, um, you said in your LinkedIn bio that you're a nerd about people, AI, the future of work, and any combination that allows humans to be their best selves. What do you think? Like, how do you think AI will allow people to become their best selves, and what's the role of a human in the future?
Yeah, AI is I've said before, is just going to automate so many things, and it'll make so many things easy that were jobs before. And so if you remove, and I know that sounds bad, like removing jobs, but you're removing things that frankly were, quote unquote jobs, like the things that people get paid for, but maybe they don't like doing. Maybe we in the future, and again, this is not too long from now, we're boiling down the thing that somebody does in their job to the 10% just like essence of it that they enjoy, that they love. And they could, and what the other 90% was kind of the not so much fun part, or the I wish I didn't have to do that every day, but I do, part of somebody's job. So like automating a lot of that away, I think that's the thing that is going to be interesting. So I don't know, maybe an easy way to look at this is like, whatever you're doing today, what if you could just cherry pick the your favorite 10% of that, and then just do that all the time. So I think that'll be an interesting transition as we keep moving forward. And then now you've got 10% of stuff, so you could throw a bunch of other things into the mix, or just do a lot of that 10%. Maybe that's the most fulfilling thing you could do, or just like learn a bunch of other things on the side. But yeah, I think we're going to have an area, not too far down the road, where everyone has their own AI. That maybe you put your AI to work, doing a chunk of this or all of it, and you focus on traveling and doing the things that you used to have to work to save up to do, but now the world kind of affords the ability, and your AI is off working, and you get to do the things that you want to do. But maybe a chunk of that work is still something that keeps you going and keeps you motivated, keeps you learning, keeps you interested in things that isn't just traveling and having fun. So again, when we talk about a world of abundance, it really is a situation where if we can do this right, there's going to be plenty for everyone in terms of of everything we've ever viewed as important, money, and power, and all the stuff that status, all the stuff that I think people use to measure their games and their lives. I think we're going to get to a point where you might not have to do that measurement because everybody has it. I think that'll be an interesting kind of world to live in.
I think one of the things that a lot of people worry about is having like the few huge companies controlling the technology that has like all of the intelligence. How do you think that will, and also the wealth, how do you think that will distribute? Like, is there a democratic way to distribute it amongst people? And like, for instance, if I'm a writer and I really enjoy the brainstorming process, but the actual wordsmithing is something that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Um, my employer might not value the fact that I enjoy the writing process if it's cheaper and more effective to deploy an AI. Like how do you address the like kind of bigger scale like how can factors like maximizing profits at the expense of at the expense of humans, like is that something we should be worried about?
Yeah, I think there will need to be a fundamentally new order of things. And capitalism and other systems of government have kind of got they've got the world to where it is today, and so you can't say, oh, it wasn't good to go down this path or go down that path. So but they're not the thing that will be the way the world works, economically, when AI is here and in full bloom. So AGI and superintelligence beyond will produce necessity for different ways of doing things. And I know it might sound weird to say, but almost ask, and this goes back to where I hope society just kind of like allows for the AI to be just to be good and be right, because it wouldn't be surprising if AI is the one that advanced intelligence is the one that solves the problem of what should our societal structure be. And again, I know that can sound dystopian, but at the same time, like I would hope that we would ask our smartest humans. If we were to redesign the way that the world works, I would hope that we would ask our smartest humans and then, put them in a room and let them figure it out, and then go with whatever they decide to do, because it's going to be better for everybody, and en masse. And so I hope that we can maybe do that with AI, and that I don't know the answer to that. I don't there's certain things that I think are fair to say belong there. It's enough for everyone. It's people not losing the humanity of each individual person. Like there's going to be some key tenets to anything that we build out, but it'll be I think there's like, it won't just be capitalism. So like that question you're asking is kind of assuming Google or OpenAI or Meta becomes that thing, and frankly that's not quite exactly in the cards. Like OpenAI has a way better chance of getting to safe AGI than Google or Meta or any other company, and they are set up to distribute the benefits of that to everyone. The nonprofit still governs OpenAI, and so that's a so if they do it, and there's massive abundance from their if OpenAI owns it, basically everyone owns it. And I know that Twitter might not agree with that, or a Senate hearing might not agree with that, but like at the end of the day, if they get there, then everybody's going to be in a good spot. So yeah, it's and can Google get there? Yeah. Would they have to change if Google was worth $30 trillion tomorrow, or $100 trillion? Would that how would that work with them being taxed or sharing with everybody? So I don't know. Those are good questions, but yeah, I would imagine that government would have something to say about that. But I at the end of the day, I hope AI has something to say about it, frankly.
Does it scare you seeing the decision makers? I don't know a lot about politics, but it seems like oftentimes the decision makers don't know the first thing about AI. And does that scare you?
That's that's probably the thing that I'm more worried about than anything. I mean, if we're talking about like, is the leadership at OpenAI good and focused on doing the right thing? Or Anthropic, other people, are they thinking about this right? The answer is a resounding yes. As soon as we talk about, can government, step in and do anything here, they are almost by design going to have to depend on OpenAI, on Anthropic, and other leaders in this space to make sure that they don't do something that harms or hinders or frankly, like just screws it up. Yes, I like. Would anybody in government, seat, Senate seats and things like that, they just do not understand where this is going. I think they're doing their best to learn more. In fact, but it's a paradigm shifting, world shifting thing, and I don't know. Just in watching some of those Senate hearings, I don't think they understand the motivations of even the people that are building advanced AI right now, and they're looking at it almost by design in an old-fashioned kind of, this is the way that things work, and this is the way that people are motivated. Like they're looking at it through that lens. And that's not the lens that everyone who's working on this is looking. And so yeah, I'd be concerned that and then on the flip side of that argument, a lot of times people will say, yeah, but how can you have the AI companies regulating themselves? And that's a perfectly valid question, and makes sense. They're the only ones that can do it though too. So I don't know exactly how the specifics of that work, but they're absolutely the only ones that know enough about how what's coming and how fast it's coming, It won't be a room full of senators or anybody in other countries, kind of in the government space. They just won't know enough about how to handle this. It's going to be fundamentally different than any other thing that's coming. And so much more fast. So it's faster, and yeah, it's just something that the AI companies are going to have to work very, very closely with the government if there's going to be successful regulation here, and there needs to be successful regulation. So that's something that but it's kind of come from the AI companies mostly.
You talked about the motivations and how it's different from kind of what a lot of the people in politics might assume the motivations are. What do you think the motivations are for a lot of the people developing AI?
It's that this goes well. They are shouldering the responsibility that this goes well. And to a person, they know that. And so I think there were some questions from government leaders and frankly just normal business folks that would say that would presume that OpenAI is trying to be like the biggest company in the world or something, like they're trying to knock over Google or and they're just not. They are there to make sure that safe AGI happens, and that it benefits everyone. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in social media, in the news. Journalists, they look at this through a lens of like normal company competition, and that's the same way that a group of government entities would too. It's like they're looking at this through lenses that don't understand the motivation of why somebody and why people are doing what they're doing. It's not to get rich. It's not to like I said, tackle or take over Google. None of that has any bearing. And so I think just I understand why it might seem weird that that you could have the biggest product in the world, or I could see why externally that might seem you don't understand the motivations, but yeah, I don't know. That's the thing that I think is probably the most different, internally at any of these, really advanced AI labs, is that the people are doing it not to make themselves rich or famous or anything. They're doing it to make sure that this goes well for humanity. And it really is true. I think that sometimes people could look with a skepticism or a jadedness that says, "Oh, I don't know if that can be true," but it absolutely is. So that's why I kind of put my faith in those people doing the right thing and making the right decisions, because they all have people, humanity as their kind of end result and customer, is making sure that it's way bigger than just tackling market share for some product.
A lot of the conversation around AGI sounds like it's a race to AGI. Is there going to be, like, we were talking about Google? You said Google might win the race to AGI. Is it a race, or will there be different forms of AGI? And what is the importance of being the first to AGI?
That's a great question. There, again, above my pay grade, but a lot of smart people would have a lot of different opinions on this. And so we will have generally intelligent systems sooner than probably people think. And we'll have them in a way that might seem, oh, did we get there? Like it won't be as obvious. And I think we thought there'd be like this moment in time where you have AGI and then you kind of flip the switch and let it take over. We're not going to have that, most likely. And so it's going to be kind of like I think it'll be a little bit more similar to like the self-driving car, kind of paradigm, to where somebody say, hey, we don't have, like self-driving cars were supposed to be here 5 years ago, or, self-driving cars were supposed to come and why don't we have that yet? But I just drove past a car that had nothing in it yesterday, and I still get excited every time. I'm like, oh my god, look at that little thing! It's just driving around. So we do have them, you know what I mean? And we have them actually in the wild in a way that I don't know that not everybody gets to see that all the time. But so there's areas where like we'll have AGI and it's like working here, and it's just and it's working and it's doing, you know, it's creating value, and so I don't know that there's going to be this kind of period where you'll have a bunch of AGI level things happening, you know, a lot of AGIs, you know, working in different areas. And I think we'll think it's kind of normal. And again, as much as I think it's not normal to have a little car driving around the streets of San Francisco, it's still wild to me every time I see it, but it'll start to seem normal. And, you know, every company in the future will be an AGI company. Like it'll be like, it won't even be possible that you aren't you know, whatever you're doing, AGI is going to be helping you. Some kind of AGI level system will be helping you be, you know, do that thing. And so, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely going to be something that that comes a little bit more slowly, I think, than we thought. But you know, it's just gonna. Like I said, you know, Google will have their, you know, their AGI, and so I don't know exactly what it's going to look like when pretty much everything has like a baseline of AGI. That's the thing I don't know quite how to visualize. You know, so I don't know. It'll be fun though when we're there. It's like just it'll seem more and more normal the more years go by. But I don't know exactly what that looks like.
Wow. I have two more questions. I want to be conscious of your time. The first is, what is the most exciting use case of AI? Like to me, I'm really excited to have like an AI assistant to manage my diet, my health, and how so everything's imperfect, and like be able to have biomarkers that tell me what to do, so I can kind of outsource my those kinds of decisions, and then just live optimally all the time. I think that would be awesome. Are
Yep.
there any specific use cases that stand out to you?
I mean, that's a great one. I think it would have to cook for me too. Otherwise, I'd still screw it up. You know what I mean? So yeah, if it can do all that and then cook as well, that's certainly a great one. I I don't have like a dead on favorite. I really do. I mean, I guess I can kind of speak with my, you know, my boots that you know, I'm at a place that's trying to automate, you know, software engineering, and for something that's always seemed hard for people to automate that. What does that world look like afterwards? That's going to get really interesting. And so I'll just, you know, maybe I don't know if it's exactly my favorite. Like my favorite would be like, oh my god, I've got this tool, and all I do is like, you know, have AI kind of start showing me pictures of you know, something that then can be more or less manufactured out of air. You know, I don't know, or like some kind of raw material bolts that I put into it. You know, that's like, if we could get there, that would be some sci-fi level stuff, and would be a lot of fun to just be, you know, designing and then throwing out, you know, new pieces of equipment or new structures, or I don't know, that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I gotta have my cooker and biomarker bot first, so I can make sure I'm alive long enough to see all that.
And then the last question is, are there any books, articles, courses, or resources that you recommend we check out? Yeah.
Nothing super. There's just the alignment problem book is a good one to really get a good shape of the problem that's at hand. I don't think people fully appreciate how tricky it's going to be. So yeah, the alignment problem is a great resource. Still stands up. And there's new courses. Where was it at? It was out of Stanford. I think Stanford just launched a bunch of really good, you know, kind of AI preppers, you know, kind of courses. I think there were like 10 courses. I don't, so I'm not super specific on that. I think I remember reading that not too long ago, so I can't speak to it, but like there's just a lot of everything is changing so quickly right now that anything that you want to read is going to help. You know, if we go back to that athletics, like taking a swing with a baseball bat or practice your free throws is never going to be a bad thing. Like just the more you grab, the more you learn. But yeah, there's just a lot of, I think if people aren't using like advanced technology now, we're still in a zone where if you're an engineer or you're a developer, you can kind of make a decision to use or not use, let's say, Copilot right now or some other generative AI tool. But 9 months from now, you won't be able to make that decision. Like 9 months from now, there is almost no way that you won't be using some kind of generative AI for your coding. And so, not that it'll be automated then, but like you will need the tool. And so the sooner that you can play around with that, if you're not already, do that, because that's probably the first domino that needs to fall, in continuing to stay relevant with you. Like if you're typing all of your code 9 to 12 months from now, like you're going to be behind, and you might be so far behind that you're not even relevant, and that's going to happen very quickly. So get your favorite generative AI tool into your comfort zone, and I think that'll be a good thing too.
Wow. And what about any books or articles in your personal life, things that have stood out as kind of life-changing books, or just things that made a big difference in your life? Are there any things that stand out?
Nothing that super stands out. I mean, I used to read a lot when I was younger. Now I'm more like read everything that comes through a news feed or whatever. So just trying to keep up with stuff. But I don't know. I really enjoyed Ready Player One when I read that a few years back, and got me into VR for a little while. I'm like, oh my God, this is the future. And so, it turns out it's like maybe not quite yet. But yeah, like sci-fi has always, been my favorite thing to read. And I don't know if that really, so I guess that kind of plays into what I'm doing now, but it's not really like this thing that like I look back and say, oh, that changed my life. It's just more what I found interesting. So yeah, read things that you find interesting, and then it quietly or not so quietly will change the way that you think about things. But yeah, sci-fi has always done that for me.
Wow. I think my audio cut out. Can you still hear it?
Yeah, I can hear. But yeah, it did sketch there a little bit.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. This was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, no, thanks, Owen, for having me. And I don't know, we'll see where everything goes here, but it's going to be a fun ride.
It will be. Thank you.
All right, you got it.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. To learn more about Rob and magic, go to www.magic.dev. And now I will leave you with a quote from philosopher Charles Handy. The future is not inevitable. We can influence it if we know what we want it to be. Thank you very much.